The Rams boost their line, but did they choose to boost the right one? Tony Gonsolin's season is officially over, and have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George tampered with James Harden? And if they did, does anybody really care? Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the Faithful Angelenos Morning Report. So it is August 28th, 2023. It was only a matter of time before I was back on the road again trying to get money in Joe Biden's America. I'm in Salt Lake City, and I'll be at work in about a half an hour. But let's get happy and talk some LA sports. If you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist, and comment, because there's always good stuff to talk about when it's LA sports. Before we go through the news and notes, look at the scoreboard. Mookie Betts and James Outman both hit home runs. Dodgers 7, Boston 6. Good times out at Fenway. The Sparks' 6-game win streak got snapped yesterday, though. Connecticut 83, Sparks 68. LA still has a grip on a playoff spot in the WNBA if the playoffs started today. Angel City 2, OL Reign, whatever OL means, 1. Clarice Lebihan and Madison Hammondville score for Angel City. Meanwhile, today, the Dodgers had a nice transcontinental flight as their reward for winning in Boston. They're playing in Arizona tonight at the Ravine. Bobby Miller is 7-3 with a 3.86 ERA. Zach Guillen is 14-5 with a 3.11 ERA. But we'll start talking about the Rams, because you're going to see a lot of cuts and a lot of roster adjustments, both with the Rams and the Chargers, for the next couple of days. And the Rams did something a little curious, because if you figure if players are going to get cut, why not try to pick them up off the bargain bin? The Rams were proactive. They acquired an offensive lineman, Kevin Dotson, from Pittsburgh. In this trade, they didn't send players back. They sent Pittsburgh a couple of third-day draft picks. That Pittsburgh actually sent to LA a couple of third-day draft picks. Very curious, because the offensive line for the Rams in the preseason did not allow a lot of pressure, but the defensive line couldn't get any pressure whatsoever on opposing quarterbacks. So maybe this trade goes in line with the idea that the Rams are like, you know what? We had a lot of injuries on offensive line last year. A little more insurance wouldn't be such a bad idea. And we also know, they're not saying this publicly, we also know that if we're going to win, it's going to be offense, offense, offense. Right? So maybe they just want to do whatever they can to try and protect Matthew Stafford. Dotson started all 17 games at guard for Pittsburgh last year. But that raises another curious point. If he's a guard, we know the Rams really like Steve Avila, the rookie at left guard. But what about right guard? They drafted Logan Bruss, who was a right guard, a couple of years ago. They're messing around with him at tackle now. Left tackle Joe Noteboom from last year was supposed to be the right guard. He's still injured. He's not really picking everything up quickly. Tremaine Ankrum is supposed to get the first crack. So what in the heck is going on, at least with that position on the Rams offensive line? Is it going to be Ankrum? Do they trust him? Is it Dotson? Does this mean Noteboom has bigger problems with his health? Does this mean Logan Bruss is going to have to sink or swim at tackle one way or another? It's all curious. Matthew Stafford, meanwhile, is starting to sound like the old guy who can't figure out which remote control works with which device. And I know this because I am the old guy who can't figure out which remote control works with which device. His wife has a podcast, which from my understanding only exists so that she can talk about her husband, right? She is saying that Matthew is confused by all of his younger teammates calling him sir. That back when he was young, and he would go into the locker room and people would be playing cards or doing God knows what. But now nobody looks up from their smartphones. These young whippersnappers today, right? Which is kind of hilarious, because if you remember, when Matthew Stafford was young, he was the guy with the cap twisted around back, trying to look like he was a roadie for Limp Bizkit. Rookie kicker Tanner Brown, by the way, We're talking about people who might be on the chopping block. Might be. He was only 2 for 4 during the preseason in field goals. Keep an eye on the waiver wire. Tony Gonsolin's season is officially over. He was moved to the 60-day injured list. As a result, the Dodgers have reclaimed right-hander Tyson Miller from the Mets. Miller has been with the Dodgers organization before this year. He actually pitched just one game with AAA Oklahoma City. The Mets pounced. They didn't like him enough, and the Dodgers are pouncing again. Freddie Freeman has 50 doubles. 50. Impressive. And you should appreciate it, because there is a month to go, and the last person that passed 60 doubles, that happened in 1936. Charlie Gehringer. The record is 67 from Earl Webb back in 1931. So yeah, I get it. Home runs are not nearly as impressive, or are far more impressive than doubles. But 60 doubles, which he might get? My eyes are open. A couple of days ago, we were mentioning how Julio Urias is struggling with velocity, how there's not much of a difference between his fastball and his changeup, and it's easier to hit. Well, here is something else that's also a little confusing. He is 8-1 at home with a 2.30 ERA, but on the road, he's 3-6 with a 7.07 ERA. We were making such nice in Boston over the weekend, weren't we? Did you notice how nice pretty much most of the Dodgers were getting treated, and the ex-Dodgers vice versa? Oh, look, there's Mookie Betts. Let's give him a standing ovation. Hey, Dodgers, there's Justin Turner. Wow, isn't that nice? Heck, even Kike. Yay! And there's Dave Roberts, still loved here in Boston for that steal against the Yankees. Yeah, all the good times stopped once former Red Sox reliever Ryan Brazier was called in by the Dodgers. They booed the hell out of Ryan Brazier. Lustful boos. Almost even perverted, I would say, level of booing. See, the Red Sox cut him because he had a 7.29 ERA, and it's less than 1 out with the Dodgers. So, yeah, Brazier heard the boos and decided to strike out 3 Red Sox just to make him even happier. How'd that taste, Boston? How did that taste? Here's the thing. Brazier basically said, look, LA taught me how to throw a cut fastball. He got a little success. Success led to confidence, and bingo. Vincent Goodwill of Yahoo Sports, and I admit I don't necessarily trust this guy because he writes sourceless articles. No sources, just claims this team is interested in this guy or that or the other. He is now claiming that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George have been talking with James Harden on the regular. Now, I don't know if that's tampering. Remember, Harden's with Philly. He's been saying he wants to play for the Clippers, or letting his people say he wants to play for the Clippers. Now, I don't know if it's tampering, and I don't really care. Look, the Clippers are way over the cap. They tried to lowball Philly in a trade. So even if a trade did happen, we don't even know with any certitude how much better that makes the Clippers. They're all over 30. Harden alone is 34. He's the old man of the group. You're going to expect all these old geezers, the only to win a ring, the only one who has won a ring is Kawhi. So what am I supposed to tell you? This team, if it was Paul George, Kawhi, and James Harden, that team would have been scary during either the Obama or the Trump administrations. But this is a team that's as old and decrepit as the Biden White House, and I'm not sure any one of them could make it up a flight of stairs right now. In between helping his son recover from cardiac arrest, LeBron James is helping Rui Hachimura with his off-season training, that they're both working out at UCLA. That's really sweet. I mentioned keeping in touch with the Rams and their transactions. We do know that the Chargers have cut a linebacker named Carlo Kemp. Don't know anything about him, so obviously that's not a huge impact. But if you're thinking about impacts and you like UCLA, Keep an eye on Jake Bobo. Seattle is loaded at wide receiver, and Bobo ran a terrible 40 time before the draft, but he keeps getting open. He's been making a lot of receptions for the Seahawks in this preseason, so he might make the team. Eyes open. He might have an NFL career. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about Tony Gonsolin and what the Dodgers will do without him. Talk to me about the Rams and what they have on offensive or defensive lines. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelinos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelinos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.